You're listening to A View from the Cheap Seats Wrestling Podcast.
Everyone, I swear Dean Ambrose is a wizard. I don't know how he got out of that locked room and underneath that little pallet at the end of Raw, but he has to be a wizard. Welcome everyone to the show. This week I'm actually talking about not so much as Raw, except for Dean Ambrose being a wizard, but about the weekend wrestling that I saw, the King of Trios and Night of Champions. Let's start off with the King of Trios. Now, I actually haven't seen all the King of Trios shows yet. Amazingly, they're already up on the internet on smartmarkvideo.com, available, I think, for both download and just watch online streaming. Their streaming site's a little bit new. I did run into trouble with one of their players. It did crash on me at the end of the show, but luckily just sort of refreshed the page and everything sort of worked out. So it's new, it's still a little buggy, but overall it actually is nice. And 3 shows for about $10 each, so $30, and that's not too bad. But my pick didn't win. If you remember my pick'em show, basically, I said that the Flood, which the Flood Elite is actually, they were being called on the internet, which was Jimmy Jacobs, Eddie Kingston, and Volgar. I said those are probably the guys that are going to win the whole thing because the Flood's looking for a big victory. Well, no, they got eliminated in night 3 in the semifinals. So they didn't win. A Flood team did win. I don't want to say who it is, just in case. Screw it. I'm going to say it. So spoilers abound. I'll give you 30 seconds or so to fast forward. But the Devastation Corporation was the winners of the whole King of Trios. The night was filled with a lot of storylines sort of expanding outwards. There was a lot of twists and turns, heel turns, face turns, surprise returns, all sorts of things going on in the shows. I've only seen the 2 of them, but they're fantastic so far. I can't wait to actually get some time, sit down, and watch Night 3, watch all the way through the finals. Honestly, I think the standout performances of a lot of the finals is going to go to 3-Peck-O, Archibald Peck, and 3.0. Those guys, in the matches I've seen them, have been fantastic teams. So congratulations. I think they actually may be the team of the weekend for them. But now let's go into the bulk. Something that I actually watched live via the WWE Network, and that was Night of Champions. Night of Champions, in terms of pay-per-views, was not the most exciting pay-per-view I was looking forward to. Not to say the card was bad by any stretch of the imagination, it seemed like a really good Raw. Like, that's what it seemed like, a really, really good Raw with a special main event, tacked on to the end. And it didn't help that a lot of the storylines you kind of didn't care about. Most likely, I don't think a lot of people care about the Intercontinental title storyline or the Diva storyline, because the Diva storyline became more about the Bellas for some reason. Because thanks to old Divas, you're doing a bang-up job. That's sarcasm. But let's go through all sort of the Night of Champions, because I did terrible in picking the Night of Champions. If you go to the Facebook page and like me, you can see the choices I had for who would win and who would lose. And I ended up in the night 3 for 4. I probably could have been... I might have been able to end up even if they actually had the Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns match. Unfortunately, Roman Reigns got injured and had some emergency surgery. And it just... They believe he had I think a hernia had to be removed, and the way that it's described just sounds completely and utterly painful to me. So speedy recovery to Roman Reigns. I couldn't bear waking up one day, sitting up, and then my body going, no, you're going to lay down here and you're going to cry. That's what you're going to do. So hopefully speedy recovery from his surgery then. But we got a surprise return in surprise. I put that in quotation marks, because once Roman Reigns were out, we kind of realized Dean Ambrose was probably going to return a day early or days earlier than they really wanted him to. But let's start off with the tag team titles. That started off the night between the Usos, Gold, and Stardust. If you've seen a lot of the pay-per-views lately, you're kind of noticing a trend that they're starting the shows off with the tag teams. I have said before on the show, that's actually a really smart move. Tag teams are the workhorse of any sort of wrestling promotion. Kind of get everyone excited, wake them up at the beginning of the show, everyone on their feet. The match itself was actually okay. The reason being because I really like the team of Goldust and Stardust, because Goldust looks like in some of the best shape he's been in his entire career. Stardust is fantastically amazing and fantastically creepy all at the same time, which is what I think they're going for. And also because after seeing the Usos be on top of the tag team division, it's a little bit sad because you kind of know there's not a lot of teams they can face off with one another. Ryback went out with an injury, so Ryback is no longer around for the most part. You have the Wyatts, but even though they had that fantastic series and that fantastic 2 out of 3 falls match, they beat them every single time and they didn't get the titles. When I think they should have. That's just me, though. So you have sort of a stagnation of the tag team division. There's not a lot of teams left. They haven't called up any of the teams on NXT. They probably don't think they're ready yet. Rumor has it they're eventually going to call it the Ascension, but nothing against the guys, but they're just boring. It would be cool if the Undertaker were still around, like regularly, and he can be like their new acolytes. But other than that, they're kind of boring. So the match in itself was still pretty good, a good opening match. Everyone really worked hard, and the best part is that Gold and Stardust, my picks, won the match. They kind of anticlimactic when you kind of think about it. So they won, you're like, yay! And you sit there and you realize, well, now what? Because let's think about it. What other face tag team is there? I'll give everyone a chance. Yeah, there's not. I can't think of any. At least not on the main roster. That doesn't consist of maybe 2 random guys put together. Maybe they can do Adam Rose and the Bunny. Really. I have nothing against Adam Rose. Honestly, the Adam Rose gimmick is something that I should really be behind because it's sort of that goofy fun thing. But I just never caught on with it, And I know that's going to make me sound like a huge hypocrite since I talk amazingly about Chikara or some really silly things that WWE does that I find massively entertaining because maybe I'm just easily entertained. But Adam Rose, I think the problem with Adam Rose is that the entrance is really fun and good, but him in the ring is not. So we sort of hey, it's the entrance. Oh, the entrance is over. So now we have to wait for him to win so we can be excited again. That's what it is. But now we might have a new tag team of Adam Rose and the Bunny because that happened on Raw. So maybe that'll be the next feud, which actually might just be weird enough to be entertaining. But who knows? They still have them feuding with the Usos for the moment. So I don't know exactly what they're going to do with that. So an alright starter, good opener. The next match is actually probably the match of the night. The match of the night in terms of actual wrestling was Sheamus and Cesaro for the United States title, which a friend of mine I saw on Twitter said it's 2 big European guys to battle it out to see who can be the champion of America. Makes sense. That's how we were formed, right? Yeah, that's how history works. 2 European guys trying to be a king of a country. I'm pretty sure every historian who ever listens to the show and just got really angry at me. But no, that was the match of the night. Those 2 guys actually have some really good chemistry with one another. And they don't seem to be afraid to try to beat the crap out of one another. Seriously. Even Cesaro's slaps to Sheamus's face made me hurt. Everything about this match makes you hurt. But they worked off tremendously well with one another. So to me, that was possibly the best match of the night. Unfortunately, Sheamus won and retained, and this is what really gets me confused. Not confused, upset. No, not upset, annoyed. Let's go with annoyed. Because Cesaro is an amazing talent. He's great on the mic, he looks great, he makes everyone around him look great. And you thought after WrestleMania it's going to be a real big push for him, and nothing came out of it. And now we're stuck in a feud that he's constantly losing, I understand that losing doesn't necessarily mean you won't get over. But losing a lot kills your momentum. Cesaro needs a real big win to get back on track, because I'm telling you, he could be he should be a main eventer. He should be a champion right now. They should try to build stuff around him. And yeah, I'm saying that because I was a fan of him in the Indies. and I was a fan of him in Jakar, I was a fan of him in ROH. So yeah, I'm uber biased towards him, but I feel like he's proven himself. You know, he's almost like the new Daniel Bryan. Like, he's really trying up there, and like he's doing some amazing work, but like for some reason the office or the management just doesn't see it. But maybe they'll keep this feud going and eventually have him win, because I really think he should have a title by this point. He was the U.S. title champion at one point, if I'm correct. Like, when I think he, not too long after he first debuted. But I feel like a win over Sheamus, you know, former WWE champion, pretty over in the crowd, pretty big, you know, that would actually, that would like propel them, not propel them, but propel him much higher in the card than where he should be. Well, maybe they can just, maybe the end result is they can form a tag team. The European Uppercuts. There you go. European Uppercuts. I'm not sure that would actually fly, but that would be an actually interesting tag team. We're just going to beat the living crap out of you. Oh dear. If Cesaro can do the giant swing, if he does it high enough, then Sheamus can boot the guy in the head as he comes over. Actually, that sounds uber dangerous. Maybe we shouldn't do that. So, unfortunately, Sheamus won. Great match, Sheamus won. So, I was 1 for 1 at this point. The next match was the Intercontinental title match, which was a return match for Miz and Ziggler. And they were doing the stunt doubles, and they both have stunt doubles. And now Dolph Ziggler has a stunt double of our Ziggler, which is R-Truth, just in I'm sighing heavily, because when I saw Damien Mizdow, I thought that was amazing. And the fact they kept him around, I'm like, oh, this is good, this is good. And then when they added R. Ziggler, and then like the commentary that happened with R. Ziggler and Dolph Ziggler and Damien Mizdow and The Miz, killed it. Like, seriously, like, I don't even know if... I'm pretty sure like the commentary team are committing verbal murder every single week. I don't know what has happened to both commentating and color commentating inside WWE, but it's gone. They've lost it. Again, I don't know what's happened, but I've never seen 3 people destroy a match just by talking. You know, wrestling is story. A lot of it's story. The guys are telling a story in the ring. Everyone in there, the opponents and the ref. Commentating, the commentating table, one of their main jobs should be to get the match over, get a person over, or get the story over to the crowd at home. Because remember, the crowd there, they can't hear the commentating. So that's up to the wrestlers to tell that story to that crowd there. And then you have the guys on the booth, they're supposed to help enhance. Not destroy, not bury, enhance. And a really good team can make even the simplest matches and the simplest wrestler, even just say a jobber, seem semi-important to the roster. You know? When you have these weird breaks and like, I can't tell who's different and who's apart. Like, okay. Like, I know it's the stunt double gimmick, but you don't have to play it straight like that, because you look like a fool, you sound like a fool, and the audience thinks you're idiots, or the audience thinks you're treating them like idiots. You see how this sort of will slowly affect the guys in the ring. They also had a country music group. It was like Florida Georgia Line. I don't remember. I'm not, despite the fact I worked in music for like 3 years. In the media department, I actually don't really know who these guys are. Apparently, they're famous country duo? Yeah, just 2 of them. And at one point, the end of the match was Mizdow got into their face, and then they pushed him down, and like something happened. I see. This is where I was slowly starting to lose track of the match. But the Miz ended up winning. Because that was sort of a distraction, so I guess the Miz ended up winning, and Miz regained the Intercontinental title, which is very strange to me, because I wasn't really sure where they're going with it, and I don't know where they're going with it, because Dolph Ziggler won it back the night before. Seriously, like, are they saying title changes make the title more prestigious? No. Not really. You can overdo title changes, especially on television. I mean, maybe they felt like they needed an extra boost, like a title change on television, because that hasn't happened in a long period of time. Maybe, but at the same time, you're just giving it right back to the guy who was just holding it. So is this a one-upmanship between Miz and Ziggler? Is that the whole deal? They're chasing this title, so it makes it seem more important. There needs to be a couple more guys looking for the IC title. You know, there needs to be a match in between them. Because now I'm getting the feeling that Miz is going to be like, well, I'm going to revoke my rematch clause, and then he's going to win. And it's all like, well, I revoke my rematch clause, and then he's going to win. And by the end of it, just like, I don't care anymore. Get someone else in here. And, you know, are they holding it for Wade Barrett to come back? I don't know. They have a talented roster. Give it to someone else. Give it to someone who could run with it or something like that. Help rebuild them. You know, I hear Zack Ryder's not doing a lot. Zack Ryder, Intercontinental Championship. Never going to happen. Moving on, we went to Mark Henry versus Rusev in America versus Russia, part 27. I've lost track of it by this point in time. The whole 80s gimmick, the Cold War gimmick of Russia versus the United States, is starting to drag. It was starting to drag when Swagger actually was getting into the rivalry to which he lost. And guess what? My prediction remained true this time. They are building Rusev as this... See, he's not necessarily a monster, but he's definitely a wrecking ball. The reason he's not a monster is because he's been shown to be scared, and he's actually been shown to like freak out and take kind of an underway of winning situation, do whatever it takes kind of thing to win, and then promote yourself even though you sort of cheated, which is fine. It's a fantastic gimmick, and he's playing it off perfectly with him and Lana. So when I saw that, here comes Mark Henry, and they have the big rally for America, and I'm cheering for America, everything's for America, I was like, he's going to lose. He is going to lose. I don't know who's going to be Rusev at this point. I hope they're not saving him for Cena, but I think this is another sort of like fantasy armchair booking. I think Rusev should be like United States champion at one point, you know? The guy who just degrades America all the time, becoming the champion of America. Oh man, the heat would melt buildings, as I said on Twitter. But it was a good solid pounding match. I wouldn't say it wasn't as good as I think him and Rusev and Big E, because they actually had some pretty good chemistry with one another. But this was a big man match. You saw a lot of like thuds, a lot of clubbing blows, not a lot of like quote unquote wrestling, but it was a good fight. With Rusev ending up winning and then continuing on his streak. Like I said, who's he going to face next? I have no idea. I guess you can try the Big Show, because since like Big Show was like Mark Henry's running buddy, the Big Show could be next. Like, oh, you hurt my friend, and now I'm going to beat you, and then he can beat the Big Show. So like he's beaten all like the real big super guys, super heavyweights and stuff like that. And then I have no idea who's going to win against him. But next up is Jericho versus Orton. Match that sort of came out of nowhere. Well, you know what? Jericho being the ring general that he is, and Orton becoming better, still a little boring at times, but becoming better in his role. They actually had a pretty good match. I will admit, they actually had a pretty solid outing. Nothing terrible about it. Everything seemed to work and click in the right spots, and Orton won. I didn't know this until later, but I remember hearing like that Jericho's current deal was up because he was going to go on tour. So obviously, when you leave on your back. That's kind of how things work in wrestling. So I didn't know that going in. So I didn't pick that because I knew that. People may not believe me, but it's the truth. It's the truth. Oh yeah, it's true. It's true. Kurt Angle, copyright. So Orton won, leaving me at 3-2. Now, you have the Divas title coming up, which is the semi-main event to the whole show, to which everyone kind of goes, ugh. They go, ugh, because Nikki Bella and the Bella storyline got interjected into this match when it really didn't need to be. I've talked at length about how that storyline is terrible, and still terrible. It hasn't changed. Like, it literally hasn't changed. It's just, if you asked me 2 weeks from now, like, Brian, how's that going? Terrible. I'm pretty sure it's going to be terrible. But, for all things said, they worked off. They worked. All the divas, all the women. I hate the fact it's called the Divas division. I think that's so stupid. It should just be the women's division. But all the women actually worked pretty well together. They actually, they were trying really hard to make the match work, and I think they should be applauded for that. We make fun of the current division that WWE has because they ask for it a lot of times, and because it's just not as good as it really could be. But when push comes to shove, a lot of them, they try. They absolutely try. And I'll give an A for effort when they try. And I'll give them, again, A for effort when they try. But AJ won this. Huh? That's right, AJ won. Now, why did AJ win? Well, AJ's and Paige have trading the title back and forth, almost like Ziggler and Miz are trading their title back and forth. Why are they trading the title back and forth? I'll tell you why. There's no one else to give the title to. Unlike the Intercontinental Championship, where I can say you can actually use that to build some guys up, for the Divas title, there's no one you can really give that to. Like, Paige and AJ are sort of it at the moment. Because they're the ones that getting super popular. I don't like the fact that Paige is already getting pushed to be like the main center of the Divas division, being so young. She has a lot of good years ahead of her and a lot of really good improvement. But hey, I'm also not the booker, so who knows? So they're continuing their feud. I'm sure. I thought they were going to tease, AJ versus the Authority kind of thing, because they teased that before and they teased it on the pre-show. I bet you that's coming up a little bit later. Like Paige might join the Authority or something like that. But that left me even 3 for 3, which left me to one match, the main event, the Grand Hoopla, Brock versus Cena 3. And holy crap, the hate and love this match gets really astounds me. There is a split, I think, with a lot of fans of how they really want to see this match work out. Myself, I wanted Brock Lesnar to win. The reason I sort of wanted Brock Lesnar to win, I think, is a lot of people want Brock Lesnar to win. It's a little bit different. It's not John Cena, who's been on top of the pile for a little bit of time. And I think you can really sort of mess with, not mess, but really put a good storyline together of Brock beat The Undertaker, then he beat Cena for the title, and then re-beat Cena for the title. He can be like, listen, you guys don't have anyone. I'm the best there is. Find someone to beat me. I'm out. Probably a lot better promo. Well, a lot better from Paul Heyman. Brock, I'm not so sure. I'm never going to say that to Brock's face, because he will break me in half. But it didn't happen. So Cena gets... So it actually was... I actually liked the back and forth of the match. The SummerSlam match where, Lesnar dominated was both shocking. But this match was back and forth. But I liked the back and forth because it was just Cena going 100 miles an hour out of the gate, swinging for the fences left and right. And a lot of times not getting what he wanted. A lot of times Brock Lesnar just giving it right back to him. I kind of enjoyed that. I didn't enjoy the fact that it looked like he was going to win before the disqualification happened. Was it four attitude adjustments, AAs, FUs, and going for the pin before Seth Rollins came in, and I think that's a lot of people are a little bit upset because it was a dirty finish. It was a DQ, it wasn't a natural win. Though it did save Cena from becoming the champion again, it felt forced. It felt weird protection of Cena. I'm sort of in the middle of the field with it. I like the fact that Lesnar's still the champ, but I don't like the fact there was a DQ. I think Lesnar should have just won outright, and then they should have given a chance to try to build someone back up. But I think plans have screwed up. Roman Reigns being injured really screwed things up, because I thought they were probably going to push either Roman Reigns. Everyone says Daniel Bryan, but I have no idea when Daniel Bryan's coming back from his neck injury. And I don't think anyone really does. I don't even think Daniel Bryan knows when he's coming back from the neck injury. So you're keeping the title on Lesnar for a while. You're still trying to push it. And you had Seth Rollins thinking he was going to go for the cash in, but he doesn't get the cash in. And so it was a little bit confusing at the end. I'm not the biggest fan of the ending. The match I like. I'm not the biggest fan of the ending. But I do like the fact that Cena is not the champion. But unfortunately, he's still going to be the main focus of the show for a long period of time. And that's just sort of the way it is. I actually disagree with a lot of people when the cash-in happened. Everyone just said, "Oh, he should have beat Lesnar." No, Seth Rollins should not be. I like Seth Rollins. I don't know if he's championship ready yet. I really don't know. I think he's fantastic. I also think he's a little bit crazy and might kill himself in the ring. But I don't think he was championship material yet. That's just me. That's just me. Because like a lot of times with the Money in the Bank, it goes either way. Like you cash it in, you do great, or you cash it in, you have just a crap run that people want to sort of forget about. Even CM Punk, his run was kind of crappy. His first run, it took a while for him to get that heat back and then get back into the main event scene. You can blame that on bookers, pretty much, but that's why I'm fearful of him sort of cashing it in, especially on someone like Lesnar. It'd been cool cashing it in on Lesnar. Probably would have been cool, but I don't know how well it would have worked, past that, because then he's gonna feud with who? Cena, and Cena's gonna win the title back and overcome all odds. Everyone says, well, no, he's gonna feud with Dean Ambrose. Now again, Dean Ambrose, I love Dean Ambrose, the crazy wizard, but I don't know if he's ready for a major title like that yet. He could be the second coming of Austin. You never know. Sort of Stone Cold Steve Austin and Psycho Sid and Jake the Snake Roberts all roll up into this magnificently weird package. But I don't know. I just don't know. So I ended my night 3 for 4. Yeah, I didn't do as well as I really normally do. Not the best way to start off a podcast going, guys, I'm going to do picks. Oh, I'm terrible at this. But that's the weekend. Night of Champions, it was sort of a middle-of-the-road show. Not terrible by any stretch of imagination, but there was a lot of bumps and a lot of just things people I don't think really cared about, which sucks because for a while now, since the network has started, they've really pushed like these really good like super shows. And no matter how many like Raws and SmackDowns that we have that are terrible or the mediocre, like a lot of it energy seemed to be saved for the pay-per-view. So you got the pay-per-view and you felt really good and you kept the network because of it and things like that. This one was like sort of their first they bunted. It was crap. We have to rewrite the show. We're missing things. Quick, call Dean. We need to get him back in there immediately. So we can't have Cena win it like that, or we can't have Brock beat Cena again. A lot of this it felt like there was a lot of little chaos behind the scenes. It felt like that way towards the end of the main event, and it felt like that way a little bit on the Raw following. It's like we have to change plans. We lost the guy. Change plans. So it was an all right show, but not one I would say to people going like, should I get the network because of the Night of Champions? I'm like, you could probably skip that one. Hey, you never know. That's all the time, though, I have this week on A View from the Cheap Seats. I'd like to thank everyone for listening. Please like this, share, subscribe to me on my YouTube channel, follow me on Twitter, and if you like, please like me on Facebook. But that's all the time I have. Thank you for joining me up here in the rafters. Till next time, everyone.